Yesterday, we learned about Yosef, the adventures of Yosef. This is in this week's Torah reading. and this week, we're learning, the Jewish people have been reading the Torah in public for 3,300 years. Since Moses established that the Jewish people would read the Torah in public like 3 times a week. Some people say 4 times a week, but again, 3 times a week. On Monday and on Thursday is read just the first part. That's what we learned yesterday. And the whole entire Torah portion is read on Shabbat. Some people say that the portions are smaller. Some people say that they finish the cycle once every 2 years, 3 years. But the custom is everywhere in Israel that we finish it once a year. So in other words, those people that say that somehow or other the Jews forgot the Torah or they lost the Torah, and they forgot what it meant or something like that. I mean, it's an obvious foolish statement, because the Torah was never kept just for the holy people or the intellectuals. Everybody learned the Torah. A child, when he was 5 years old in Judaism, when he was 5 years old, he already knew how to read. Usually they teach them to read at 3 years old. So he knew how to read in order to read the Torah. It was very rare to find illiteracy in the Jewish people. Now maybe a little bit, could be. There's some kids that their parents abandoned them or something. It was very, very, very rare to find illiteracy. So the reason I'm saying this is because this story has been repeated every year for like 3,300 years. They've been learning it, once every 52 weeks. Every year, they've been reading this Torah portion once a week. And every year, 1 week of every year is devoted to learning each and every individual Torah portion. So it's the same with this one. Okay, here we go. So what do we see? Yosef, now there's this big plan. See, there's the big plan, and there's the smaller plan, and there's the smaller plan. And then when people just don't pay attention to the proper plan, so there is, you can get totally the wrong idea. Oh, what's this? Right, so the big plan is the Mashiach. That's the big plan. Big plan is Mashiach is going to make sense of all of the Jewish suffering that there could possibly be. But if we just go down one dimension into a little bit a smaller plan than Mashiach, so we have the Jews receiving the Torah. The Jews receiving the Torah and going and taking the Torah to the land of Israel and building the 2 temples. That's the preparation for Mashiach. I need a sukkah. Then you go down another dimension. The reason for this whole big plan was that the Jews should go into Egypt, because God promised Abraham that his offspring would go into Egypt and that they would come out with the tremendous riches. Okay, let's go down another lower dimension. And the reason Yosef was being sold into Egypt was to save the world. There's going to be a big famine, and the only one that knows that there's going to be a famine, because there was no hint of a famine, knows there's going to be a famine and how to fix it up, was Moses. And the situation we're going to see, just things just sort of developed in a way that Paro was ready to listen to Yosef's interpretation of his dream. He's willing to listen to Yosef. That's not. And now if you go down one smaller dimension, we don't look at this bigger picture. So we have Yosef and his brothers. It's just a family thing. It's a family thing, and we can learn from it from the generations, just like, Esav hated Yaakov, so the brothers hated Yosef, and it was and we can learn big, deep lessons from this in life. You know what? And if you look at a lot of dimension a little bit lower, so what was the causes of this hatred? This is what we talked about before. The brothers truly thought they were justified. Yosef was a troublemaker. He was trying to arouse their father's hatred. He was trying to make a war in the family to turn their father against them. And he told them these terrible things, that they were eating limbs from a living animal, and that they were calling the other tribes, the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, they were calling them names, and they were acting improperly with women. On the other hand, Yosef really thought he was doing a big mitzvah. He thought he was, informing his father so that his father would be able to reprove them and correct them. So we wanted to correct his brothers, and they wanted to get rid of him because they realized that their father was already sold. So, okay, here we go. Vayelchu echav. So the brothers hear this dreams, these two dreams of Yosef. Some opinions say he had a dream before that also. But in any case, and the two dreams are starting off, first of all, there are a bunch of sheaths. There's a bunch of wheat in the field, and they gather up sheaths. The brothers all gather up their bundles, and Yosef gathers up his bundle, and the brothers' bundle bows down to his bundle. Right? The other, they're bound down to him. Let's have a look at it here. It says, here. We're gathering up bundles in the field, and let's get this pointer here. In the field, and behold, my bundle stands up and it raises up and it stands, and your bundles bow down to my bundle. Here it says that they went around to Sabena, that they surrounded me. According to some opinions, it means that your bundles walked around. They didn't want to bow down, but finally they had no choice, and they had to bow down to me. Which, of course, that's what's going to happen. All the brothers are going to come down to Egypt, and finally, in the end, Yosef is going to reveal himself that he's Egypt. When they go down to Egypt, they don't even recognize him. We'll see. So the brother said, "You're going to rule over us." Well, what type of stories are this? And then he told them another story, and it's here. And then he dreamed another dream. Right? His brothers already hated him over here. They said, "You're going to rule over us," and they hated him with Sforno, so they hated him because of his dreams and his interpretations. Now, interestingly enough, the brothers interpreted this dream. There's a general principle as dreams. It's written in the Talmud and Brachot. There's a general principle in dreams that dreams go according to the interpretation. So if a person has a dream, a terrible dream, that he's being, crushed by a elephant. So it says, go to your friend and have the friend interpret the dream, right? And so what does it mean? An elephant means you're going to get amazing, big, good news. And it's going to be so great, you almost won't be able to accomplish it. It's going to be, crushingly good news, good luck is going to come to you. And you see it's not going to hurt you because here you woke up and here you're, whatever it is, make something up, interpret the dream in a good way. And it says the interpretations go the dream goes according to the interpretation. Right? So it says when you have a dream, you want it to be interpreted, go to a friend. Or you can even say to him, give me a good interpretation of this dream, right? I had a dream, right, that I lost all my money. He says, oh, this is a good dream. It means that you lose the little bit that you have now, and you'll rise to a totally what you think now is everything. You invest it, and you'll come to a tremendously greater riches than there were before. And what's the proof here? You had this dream, and you woke up. So now, you're more alive, and make something up. Make something up. On the other, there's a whole story about this in the Gemara in Brachot. And that there was a person that he would interpret the dream good if he gave money, and if he didn't, he would interpret it bad. He would interpret it bad. So here the brothers, they had this dream, right? Yosef had this dream, and he said that the sheaves are standing up, and they're all bowing down to my sheaves. So they could have interpreted to say, oh, it means you're going to be a farmer. It means you're going to be a farmer. It means that, we're going to help you to be a farmer. And they could have made something else up, right? You're going to be like a bundle of the sheep. Your whole life is going to be in a field. You're not going to have a house. Make up something, anything else they could have made up. But no, it says that they all of a sudden they made up. They said, you're going to rule over us. You're going to be a leader. They knew somehow or other that was true. And God put it in their mind to make an interpretation that was positive. It was positive. They could have said, you're going to be a vegetable. You're going to be in a coma, and you're going to be like a grain of wheat. They could have said something bad. But they didn't. They said something good. So this was already a sign that things weren't going their way, that even from the inside, they were agreeing with him. Then he had another dream. And the other dream was that the sun and the moon and the 12 and 11 stars are going to bow down to me. Now, who are the 11 stars? Obviously, those are the brothers. There's 11 brothers. He's the 12th, right? And who's the sun and the moon? His father and his mother. Okay, now his father and his mother was already dead. So obviously there was something, strange going on over here. So his father said, his father yelled at him. So what are you making these dreams for with the 12? Your brothers are just going to hate them. He said, one second, the sun and the moon, one second, your mother already died. He didn't know that he was speaking about who was the father, was him, and Bilhah. Bilhah was the handmaid of Rachel. And after Rachel died, Jacob moved his bed into the tent of Bilhah. And Bilhah, she raised up Yosef after his mother passed away. And all the rabbis learn from this that every dream has to have something a little bit wrong with it. And Yaakov, what did he say? He said, me and your mother are going to bow down to you. It says, me and my mother, your mother is going to bow down to you. Your mother's already dead. Why did he say that? Yaakov wanted to take the hatred from his brothers, that they wouldn't have jealousy. They could say, hey, Yosef, your dreams are nothing more than dreams. Your mother is dead, face it. She's not alive anymore. She's not going to bow down to you. So, so they said, just as it's your mother can't bow down to you, all the rest of it, the dream doesn't make any sense. But it didn't work. The Rebbe points out a very interesting thing. We're going to see Paro's dream, that Paro's dream is first of all, there were a bunch of oxes, and the skinny oxes ate the fat oxes, and then there was a bunch of grains, and the skinny grains ate the fat grains. So we see that the Paro's dream, that it went down from animal, cows, and then the next dream, the second dream, was about plants. So it went down in level. Yosef's dream was from below to above. It started off with the earthly things, the sheaths, and it went up to stars. The stars are always bowing down to him. Okay, so his brothers were jealous of him, and his father just kept quiet. His father just wanted to see what was going to happen. Okay, that's what we got up to yesterday. Why were they jealous of him? They thought that because he was so valued by their father, so he became very sort of haughty and egotistical, as though he was saying, no, I'm going to be the father. I'm going to rule over all of you. But his father, he knew what was going on. His father, he said, this your dream is false. Obviously your mother's going to bow down. She can't, but he knew it was a true dream somehow or other. And he really wanted that the dream should be fulfilled. Like it says that everyone, you can be jealous of anyone except for your people are not jealous of their children and of their pupils. If your pupil is better than you, you're not jealous of him. And if your children are better than you, you're not jealous. So that's what says his brothers were jealous of him, but his father was not. Okay, here we go. Let's go. That was yesterday's. Today, the brothers went to shepherd their sheep, the sheep of their father in Shechem, this place called Shechem. There's going to be bad news over here in Shechem. Shechem is going to be a place where there's going to be a lot of trouble. Shechem was the place, if you remember, with this whole story with Dinah. Remember, we just learned last week where Dinah was raped and the Shimon and Levi killed all the people in Shechem. And before that, Jacob also bought some land in Shechem. But that which nobody in the Israeli government don't honor that at all today. Okay, so the one thing, bad thing that happened in Shechem was the story about Dinah. Another thing that happened bad in Shechem was what's going to happen now with Yosef. Rashi says, Nakud, if you look in the Torah, the word et has two little dots over it. This tells you that they didn't really go to shepherd the sheep. They went to shepherd themselves. In other words, they hated Yosef so much. I read in one explanation, they hated Yosef so much and they were just flaming, burning with anger, but they wanted it to calm down a little bit and not to show it because they wanted to kill him. But they didn't want their father to know how deep was their anger. So they went just to calm down in Shechem. That's what it means. They went to shepherd themselves, right? To feed themselves. So Yisrael, Jacob, right? He said to Yosef, hey, your brothers, they're shepherding sheep in Shechem. Go, let's go and I'll send you to them. And Yosef said, okay, I'm ready. Yes, all right. So Yosef said, okay, here I am. Even though that he knew that his brothers hated him, nevertheless, he went willfully. Vayomer lo lech na ra'eh, his father said to him, go see how your brother's doing and see how the sheep are doing and come back and give me a report. And he sent him from this place called the depth of Hebron, and he went to Shechem. Hebron and Shechem, both the places in Israel, right? But they're the opposite. What does it mean, Emek Hebron? From the valley of Hebron. It says there's no such thing as a valley of Hebron. Hebron is on a mountain. Like it says, Vayal B'Negav, Yavod Hebron. But what does it mean to the valley? The word Emek means something very deep. Me'etza amuka, from the deep, from the deep, how do you say, promise that tzaddik that's buried in a Hebron, for the person who's buried in a Hebron. Who's buried in a Hebron? Abraham. What was this deep advice or idea? Abraham was told Bein HaBetarim, when Abraham had this, remember in Parshas Lech Lecha, that Abraham made this covenant with God between the pieces. And God said to him, your children are going to be strangers in a strange land. So this is the beginning of this process, is starting now. His father somehow or other knew that this was going to be, that Yosef was going to be he was beginning this process of the Jewish exile in Egypt. So he went to Shechem. Where is Shechem? Is Mokom Muchan Lepronios. So this is a place where it's prepared for Shechem. There, the Kilkulu Shvatim. Shechem was the place where Yerovam ben Nevat made his like his capital, and there were the 10 tribes. There, Dinah was raped. There in Shechem was divided the kingship of King David in Shechem. That was Yerovam and Nevad. The Shvatim, 1 second. Yeah. Okay. And like it says, Vayelech Rochavam Shechem, the Rochavam went to Shechem. What exactly was this place with the Kilkal Shvatim? What was it? I think that's what it was. They made that the upper kingdom. Okay. In any case, Shechem was a place where a lot of bad things happened, like I just told you before. Let's see if we can make a little progress here. So here's Yosef, and he's going to find his brothers. Now, there weren't any streets over there, and there was no, GPS or whatever it was called. So how did he know? And not only that, he didn't know where they were. He couldn't call them up. So he was just sort of wandering around looking for them. A person found him. And he was sort of wandering around in this field. And the man said, what are you looking for? Who is this man? It was an angel, the angel Gabriel. Like it says, Ish Gabriel. Earlier we saw that also Yaakov had said he fought with an Ish. Also was an angel. Here it says, this is a hint. Here it says there's Gabriel is giving him a hint that there's going to be 3 exiles. 400 are going to be 400 years in Egypt, if you count from the birth of Yitzchak. That's To'eh. To'eh. Tov is 400. Ayin, 60, is the first exile in Bavel, between the first and the second destructions. After the first destruction, until the second temple was built. And then there's 5,000 years of the exile of Edom. At the end of 5,000 years, that's what's going to be soon. Like now, we're in the year 5,700, etc. That's what my teacher said the dat's Canaan. Also, I heard the same thing. Okay. So the angel said, hey, what are you looking for? He said, I'm looking for my brothers. Where are they? Shepherding, where are they? And the man said, the angel said, leave this place. I heard people say that they went to this place called Dosan. Yosef went to his brothers, and he found them in Dosan. What does it mean? It says Vayelech. He said Nis'umizeh. Go away from this. What does it mean? Go away from this. The brothers, they took themselves away from brotherhood. They're not acting like your brothers anymore. Nelcha Dosana, they said they went to Dosan. What does it mean? Levakesh lacha nichle datot. To search, to try to figure out for you some sort of a plan, nichle, like plan of revenge. Shim tu'uchabem, that they can kill you with them. Lefi Pshuto Shel Mako means it's the name of a place. They went to a place called Dosan. And the Torah always adheres to the simple meaning. The simple meaning. Within the simple meaning, there's these deeper meanings, but the deeper meanings cannot uproot the simple meaning. Okay, so what's going on? The brothers wanted to kill him, but they didn't want their father to know that it was them. So they had to figure a way that they could bring about his death, and it wouldn't point the finger at them. But you also merachok, the brothers saw him far away, and before he could come close, They took a plan to kill him. There's some people that say that they saw him. Why did they want to kill him? Because they saw him from far away. They didn't see him as a human being. He was just something from far away. Before he could come too close to them, that they would feel any human connection, they decided they wanted to kill him. It says they got filled with plans, armumios, and like treachery. They wanted to kill him. Okay. So they said, you know what? Hey, listen, here's the dreamer. Huh? Here's the master of dreams. He's coming. He's coming. That he told us all of the dreams, and in order to get us angry, so that we would stand up against him and we would do a sin to God, or to our father, or to do them, both of them. And because we would get angry and would do this, we would get destroyed. So they said, okay, let's kill him. And we'll throw his body into one of the pits. And we'll say to our father, I mean, for sure, animals are going to come along, they'll eat him. So we'll say, we don't know what happened. We're waiting and waiting for him. And we finally found him, and he was all eaten. The animals ate him up. It's terrible, terrible. Then we'll see what happens with his dreams. Huh? We're all going to bow down to him. We're going to see what's going to happen. We're going to make him into animal fodder. Rabbi Yitzchak said, this pasuk says, Darsheni. Why do they have to say the Torah tells us, let's see what's going to happen with his dreams? This happened to be a spirit of prophecy that came over on them. They were saying, let's kill him. And the Torah says, we're going to see what's going to happen with his dreams. In other words, let's see whose words are going to come. Oh, he's going to die, like you say, or he's going to lead, like he says. Oh, shalchem, oh, shali. Is it going to be your words or my words? I mean, who showed him these dreams? God showed him the dreams. You can't say that they said, let's see what's going to be of their dreams. If they kill him, they know there's not going to be any of his dreams, right? What do you mean? Let's see what's going to happen from his dreams. They're going to kill him. There's not going to be any result of his dreams whatsoever. So therefore, they're saying there won't be any dreams. So he's saying that this is the spirit of holiness, whatever, that sent him the dreams at first, speaking against their evil plans. They said, we're going to kill him. And God said, let's see what's going to be of his dreams. Let's see who's going to be right, you or him. Ruvain heard. Ruvain didn't like it. And he saved him. He wanted to save him from his hands. Let's not kill someone. Come on. That's too much. We can't kill him just because he's making trouble. I mean, we believe in God, right? This is not the mafia or something where we take things into our own hands. You have an enemy, what do? You first of all, maybe you're wrong. Maybe we're wrong, right? We're going to kill him. That's going to add on another sin. And if we're right, so God will help. God will help. Let's not destroy a person. Makas nefesh. But let's not lo nakenu nefesh. Let's not kill him. And he wanted to save him from their hand. It says because a person has free will and they're able to kill someone that's not guilty, which is not the case by throwing him into a pit of wild animals. We'll see. It's going to see, we're going to see that they threw him. Reuven said, let's throw him into this pit in order to save his life. Right? Reuven did it in order to save his life. It says the pit was filled with scorpions and snakes. You ever see scorpions and snakes? I mean, it's just really, frightening. Especially poisonous. There's all scorpions are poisonous, as far as I know. And there are snakes that are deadly. It can kill a person in just a few minutes. But nevertheless, it said that he threw him into this pit full of scorpions and snakes to save his life. How could it be saving his life? It says because people have free will. And people, even if God decides that I don't want this person to die, nevertheless, they can kill him. That's what he says, to save him. Let us save him let's save him. I want to save Yosef from the hands of my brothers. Well, my brothers have free will. That's what it means. Let's see what's going to be of his dreams. Either they're going to negate the dreams, and therefore there's no, there won't be any proof. If you kill him, So then there's no proof to see what happened to his dreams, right? What happened to his dreams? So I want to keep him alive, and then we're going to see what happens to the dreams, right? We're going to see what happens. Anyway, Reuven said, listen, let's not spill any blood. Let's throw him into one of the pits, and that's in the desert. And we won't throw him in order. And why did he did it? He did it to see. That's Reuven speaking. Now it says the Spirit of God is speaking. God is speaking in order to save him from their hands and to return him to his brothers. He says this is a Ruach HaKodesh. This is the spirit of prophecy that is now. He's testifying. The spirit of prophecy is testifying in the Torah that Reuven, the reason he said throw him into a pit, was in order to save them from his brothers. Reuven was the firstborn. I'm the greatest of all of them. If you do kill him, then my father is going to get mad only on me, at me. He's going to say, you could have stopped him. Okay, let's try to finish. As soon as Yosef, now meanwhile, Yosef has not arrived yet. As soon as Yosef came to his brothers, they said, hi, brothers, how are you doing? Immediately, they stripped him from his coat that his father gave him, ketonet pasim, that his father gave him, and they took him and they threw him into one of the pits, and the pit was empty, and there wasn't any water in the pit. And it says the pit is empty. Of course, there was no water in it. There was also no diamonds in it, and there was no motorcycles in it. What does it have to say? There was no water. So it says, Rashi says, it says in the Gemara, it says that it's empty, so we know that there's no water. Why does the Torah have to tell us that the pit was empty and there is no water in it? It says there was no water. Water wasn't in it. It was empty from water. But something else was in it. What was in it? Snakes and scorpions were in it. So that's what he's saying. It's better to be a snake in a pit full of snakes and scorpions than to be in the hands of Jews that don't want to do God's will. Because the Jews don't want to do God's will. If God doesn't want a person to die, like Daniel in the lion's den, so the lions didn't kill him. Right? The snakes and the scorpions won't stick him. But if these in the hands of Jews, so God doesn't want him to die, so they'll say, okay, we'll burn him. So the fire will go out. So they said, oh, let's hang him. So the rope breaks. They said, well, let's shoot him. So the gun doesn't work. So they said, okay, let's stab him. So the knife breaks. Then they say, okay, let's cut off his head. So the axe doesn't work. They said, let's crush him. Let's drown him. They'll figure some way out, right? If they'll die from old age, who knows what's going to happen? And the brothers, it's better to be in a pit of scorpions. Not a very nice thing to say, but that's the fact. The brothers sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes. Now here they just threw their own brother, but they're happy. They're happy. Now they're going to get rid of him, and they're not going to. All of a sudden, gets that they saw a caravan of Yishmaelim, of Arabs, coming from Gilad, and the camels had nachos, vatsari, some sort of spices and things like that, going to Egypt. And it says this is a tremendous mercy because usually Arabs were known to only carry like very smelly things like petrol or oils, some combustibles. And here it just happened to be a group that they it says, why does the Torah tell us that what they were carrying? To tell us the reward of righteous people. That's not the way of Arabs to deal except with gasoline or something that has bad smell, and therefore there came spices so that he wouldn't be damaged by this bad smell. Okay, Yehuda says to his brothers, "Hey, I got an idea. What benefit is it if we kill our brother and we cover his blood? Right? Why? And why we'll have to hide it? I got a better idea. Let's sell him to the Ishmaelim, and then our hands won't have anything to do with it, because afterwards, after all, he is our brother. He's our flesh and blood." And his brother said, "That's a pretty good idea. We can also maybe make a little profit off of it." So they accepted from him, right? They accepted him, and what the idea, what he said, let's do it. right? And they said, let's sell him, and then now we're going to repay him for what he tried to do us. He wanted to rule over us. Now we're going to rule over him, right? He'll remain alive, and now we can really see what's going to be with his dreams. If we would kill him, then that wouldn't give the dreams a chance. So they sold him to the Yishmaelim. Afterwards, there came a traveling group of Midyanim, a caravan of Midyanim. They're salesmen, and they took Yosef from the boar, and they sold Yosef to the Yishmaelim for 20 units of kesef. And Yosef went to Egypt. And what's going on over there? There's the Yishmaelim and there's the Midyanim, and they took Yosef to Egypt. What's going on? So he says, the Midyanim, this was a different caravan. So it's coming to tell you like this, that he was sold a lot of times. Right? First of all, he was sold to the Midyanim, and then he was sold to the Yishmaelim, and then he was sold to the Midyanim, and then he was sold to the Mitzrim. The Yimshechu b'nei Yisrael, they took him. Vayimshechu. First of all, so it says Vayimshechu, that the sons of Yaakov, Yosef's brothers, took Yosef from the pit. They took him from the pit, and they sold him to the Ishmaelim. And the Ishmaelim sold him to the Midyanim. And the Midyanim, they sold him to in Egypt. A lot of explanations, wonderful. Okay, meanwhile, Reuven, he wasn't there when they sold him. All the other brothers, where was Reuven? So it says, when they sold him, he wasn't there. Because it was the time, it was his day to assist his father. So he went back to serve another one. He was mourning on the fact that he wrecked up the bed of his father. Okay, this was in the previous thing that says that Reuven got angry, says that when Rachel died, that he thought that Yaakov, his father, would move his bed together with Leah. But he didn't, he moved it with Bilhah. So he got all angry and he disrupted the bed of his father. He just messed up the bed and he went in anger. And so he felt bad about this afterwards. In any case, Reuven wasn't there, right? So Reuven came back to his father and he said, Hayeled einenu, the child is not here. What am I going to do now? Wow. I thought that I would take him out of the pit and I would bring him back to my father. And that's it. I would tell him, listen, don't say anything to my father about this and don't want. But now I came back and he's not here. He didn't know that the brothers sold him. He said, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Yosef says that they took, meanwhile, the brothers, they took the cloak of Yosef and they slaughtered a goat and they dipped the coat in the dung, in the blood. It says, why? It says, because the blood of a goat is similar to that of a person. Okay. So they took this coat and they brought it to their father and they said, hey, Dad, look at this. We found this. Doesn't this look like Joseph's coat? Right? Is this it or not? I mean, we didn't see Yosef. We don't know what happened to him. Is maybe he's around. Is he still at home? Yosef, is he still at home? Is he still around? Because we found this coat. Seems that he lost his coat. Vayakir's father saw it and he said, oh, Katunas Beni, it's my son. I sent my son to you. He's not at home. Oh, it seems that it must be that evil animals ate him up. Tarov Yosef, that Yosef has been devoured. He said, who is the evil animal? We're going to find out that the evil animal is going to be the wife of Potiphar. We're going to see it in a moment. That's what's going to get him thrown into jail. Anyway, Yaakov tears his garments and he puts sackcloth on his loins and he's mourning on his son many days. What do you mean many days? 22 years. From the time that Yosef left until he got, when he got this news, until he finally, Yaakov went and saw his son in Egypt. Why is that? It says that Yosef was 17 years old when he left his father. When he was 30 years when he was standing in front of Paro. So that's already 13 years. He was in prison. He was in prison, right, for 12 years, says. And then 7 years of plenty, 7 years of plenty, 2 more years of hunger. And when when Yaakov came to Egypt, it says that the river filled up again, the Nile filled up again, and the famine stopped. So in other words, this 22 years, this corresponds to the 22 years that Yaakov did not honor his mother and father. 22 years. Actually, it was more than 20 years because the years that he was, the 14, it says 20 years he was in the house of Lavan. 2 years he was going, it was returning from the house of Lavan. And 1.5 years he was in this place called Sukkot. How do you break up these 2 years? 1.5 years he was in Sukkot, and 6 months he was in Beit El. That's what it says in Lavan, Esrim Shana Beitcha, etc., etc. So 22 years. All of his sons and all of his daughters to comfort him, and he refused to be comforted. And he said, I will go with my son dead to Sheol, to the afterworld. And he cried, his father cried. Now, why did he? Usually a person weeps for 7 days. He says, but here he didn't, because he knew, he felt down deep that Yosef was still alive. But on the other hand, all the evidence presented to him showed that he was dead. So it says that a person that's dead, you can forget. The pain goes away after a week, and then a month, and then a year, different levels. But a person that's alive, the pain never goes away. So it says the Midianim sold him into Egypt, to Potiphar, Saris Paro, Sarah Tavachim, and now Yosef becomes a servant in the house of Potiphar, who is the meat master in the house of Paro. And we're going to see that Potiphar's wife really gets Yosef in trouble. She slanders him, gets to put him into prison, as we're going to learn, God willing, tomorrow. Have a good day with Mashiach now, and a happy holiday. Tonight is Yud Tis Keslev. It's a big, big holiday in Chabad, the day that the first Rebbe of Chabad got freed from prison, and also really began spreading the teachings of Hasidut in a very, very active and detailed and popular way. The whole movement of Chabad is due to that. And the movement of Chabad is only a means, it's not a goal. The goal is to bring Mashiach now. And God willing, we'll see it right now. Have a good day. See you tomorrow, 8:15 in the morning. Chag Sameach.